All right. Good morning, everyone. This is part 4 of Mistwood Update Patch Review. And we got to be going into like what, the 6th hour now? Something like that. I mean, ugh. I'm a slow talker and I'm a slow reader and I'm a slow thinker. I get it. But I like to also think that I'm thorough, maybe a little bit too thorough sometimes. But I'm just going to jump right into it. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Had my coffee, ready to bust through a bunch more heroes, all their various changes. If I remember correctly, we left off at Lycan last time, so we are on to the M's. The M's, and that's roughly halfway through, which is okay. Quite the mountain to surpass here to get through all these heroes. Um, let's do it. Magnus. So, empower duration rescaled from 38, 42, 46, 50 down to 40. Okay. So, I mean, that's kind of in the mid range there. Level 15 talent change from 140 shockwave damage to minus 5 seconds skewered cooldown. Okay. Wasn't that. I thought that was already one of his. No, that's from his Agnums. So his Agnums used to be a skewer cooldown reduction. Level 25 talent reduced from plus 12% empower damage cleave to only 10%, a slight debuff. Level 25 talent increased from zero point 0.8 reverse polarity stun duration to plus 1, 0.2 second reverse polarity stun. That's such like a minute, like I get it, stuns are huge and important in the game, but when I see a value of like 0.2 seconds, it's neat. It's neat that they put that much little detail into it. So his scepter got reworked. It releases 3 shockwaves going outwards from you at a 30-degree angles. You can only be hit by one of them, so it's not tripling up your damage on your shockwaves. After reaching the end, the shockwaves come back to the original and deal 750 damage and pull towards the cast point a second time. Is this? I feel like this is not new. They do a scepter for him where his shockwave comes back and then they reworked it again to his pull and now they're kind of getting both. I think so. I mean, actually kind of curious to see what that actually looks like. But before I do jump up here, actually, I'm just gonna finish off the Agnum Shard, and then we'll just take a quick look at what these actually, what potentially things you can do with this. So Agnum Shard, Horn Toss, grants Horn Toss, tosses enemies from in front of you, launching them behind you. Enemies spend 0.6 seconds in the air and take 150 damage on landing, and are stunned for 0.25 seconds. Cast range is very minimal, so you have to be like right next to them. And cooldown's only 30 seconds. So you can do it pretty often. Maybe twice in a team fight. But it's probably very much like a initiator type skill to utilize. Let's see here. Magnus. Magnus, another hero I've been to play more of. That's been on my lower hero play count, so I've been trying to work them up. Interesting tip if you don't already know this about Magnus. A little trick with his ulti. It's all about the direction you're facing as you're pressing it. You can actually like flip people around you to get a little easier of a skewer. Like that. You kind of control which direction they're going. Okay, so give me a shard. T. So it's just something. I don't have to target it. It's just something he's going to do right in front of him. Boop, boop. And so if I got a bunch of enemies here in front of me, for example, and I just charge my way up and go bap, pops them over top. I mean, to me now it seems like he needs like a skewer, like an extra skewer charge. I mean, obviously you can just do blink dagger, do one of these, and then whomp. think is kind of the thinking behind that. Or if you got just like a really annoying tank hero in front of you, you can just flip them over you to kind of get past them. Actually, that would actually be pretty good use of it if you're getting chased. Who's chasing who here? If you're getting chased and you're trying to juke them out, you really just want to get them somewhere else. Flip them up and behind. And like it sends them quite a decent distance that you can get some distance away from them. So I'm just kind of curious if I can get them up onto a cliff. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So there's going to be some cliffing action happening with this skill for sure. Like, it's not easy. It's definitely a tricky one to get. You have to have your back against the cliff, really. And even then, it's like, you gotta have that quite perfect. It's almost like Ursa's Empower, not Empower, his little jump leap that he does. You have to get that thing perfect. Same with Pangolier. They've got cliff jumps, but they're just so finicky. There's nothing worse than being like, I am so confident, I know exactly what I'm doing, and you go up to the cliff and you just like face plant right into it. So okay, that's pretty cool. What does his eggs actually look like? That's the one I was more curious about, but I like the egg shard. So this is going to just send 3 out and back. I mean, it's damage. It's 300 damage. 600 damage, actually, right? Gonna hit him twice. Once, then twice. Well, it's actually quite strong. A 600 damage nuke every 10 seconds in that kind of an area? Wow. Like, I'm not sure if Magnus is classified as a nuker, but he sure as hell should be with his eggs. That's a lot of damage in a team fight. And like, I don't think that's a big stretch to catch 5 people within that cone. Team fights, like, they're gonna have to be that grouped up for enemies to actually get hit by all that. Nice little team fight going on. You know, 4 of them are all kind of like stacked up. Whap. Whap. Half, well, I mean, they're level 1, but 600 damage off. That's pretty impressive. Whoop. Whew. Cool. I like Magnus. He's a lot of fun. A lot of fun hero. Okay. Impressions? I don't know. I just think he's got a little more tools in his toolbox. I think the scepter is quite strong. I think it's much stronger than it was. Having like a lower skewer cooldown, I don't know. I was never really that useful with it. It certainly gives you a lot of mobility in a team fight, but I don't know. You can mess things up as much as you can make things better with a skewer. Like, that's making those quick little snap decisions in the middle of a team fight. Not everyone's going to get those perfect. So, I mean, someone who's really skilled at knowing positioning within a team fight and making those decisions probably did really well with the last Ags, but I think this Ags is just a little more user-friendly. So it'll be a little more useful in general, particularly in my bracket. Yeah. Alright, Mars. So, God's Rebuke. Mana cost increase from 65, 70, 75, 80 to just a straight 80. Okay. Area of Blood mana cost reduced from 200 down to 150, 175, 200. A little bit cheaper at the earlier stages. Arena of Blood damage reduced from 120, 185, 250 down to 100, 175, and 250. Again, in the earlier stages, 20 damage debuff on the first level. Okay. Yeah, it's slight. I mean, it's quite strong, and it always has been quite strong. Usually when Mars gets his level 6, usually means he can get quite an easy kill on a squishy carry or a support quite easily. So slight nerf to that I don't think is necessarily doing the game any disservice, or in fact it's probably making, it's probably a good improvement. Scepter rework creates invulnerable soldiers in front of you while bulwark is toggled on. Soldiers move alongside your hero, dealing your full damage with a bonus 75, which approx well. Enemies can only be attacked by 1 soldier at a time. Soldiers apply a slow for 1 second on their attack. See, this is another one that I just need to see. Because the utility of this is that you have an extra, well, that you can proc off your attack while also using Bulwark. Because honestly, Bulwark, it's cool. When it first came out, I'm like, this is a really cool idea. Having a unit in the front to kind of like crowd control, be able to take some or reduce damage coming from ranged units. I thought that was really cool, but in practice, like, rarely have I seen it utilized that well. I think one time. No, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, like the most utility out of Bulwark is for you yourself, if you are trying to escape somewhere, being able to make sure that you're walking backwards, and getting the full effect of your front damage reduction whilst escaping. So maybe this gives you like a little more. I don't know. It gives you a little more like. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. We're gonna try it out. We'll see what the utility of this will be. Level 10 talent changed from minus 3 seconds spear cooldown to plus 15 movement speed. Okay. Um, hmm. That's kind of a shame actually. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head what the other level 10 talent was, but the minus 3 cooldown spear is huge. So they take that away from them. Seems to me like quite the nerf. 15 movement speed is never. I mean, movement speed's always nice, but it seems just a bit underwhelming compared to Mars being able to be a little more of a crowd controller with his spear. Um, I wonder if they thought his spear is just too strong. I mean, it is quite a strong skill. It does a lot of damage, and you can get quite nasty stuns with it. Um, Level 15 talent changed from 20 movement speed to minus 4 seconds God Rebuke cooldown. Okay, interesting. So they're reducing them. There's actually like switching the skills here, so you're gonna get more God's Rebuke cooldowns, which honestly, like that. I said the spear is powerful, but the God Rebukes, like if you've got that going off pretty quickly, like that's essentially a cleave. That really helps Mars not only kind of control the space of the battle, but to be able to put a lot of damage down in an area, especially for like illusion heroes. Mars tends to be quite a good counter for illusion heroes. Level 25 increase, level 25 talent increase from 80 HP regen allies, area of blood, arena of blood, to plus 120. So quite a buff on that actually. It's a 50% buff. Ooh, that health regen. I don't think that's the talent I would usually get. But I mean, when you think about it, it's quite strong. Um, like generally the area. I mean, think about Arena of Blood. It really dictates where the fight's gonna happen, and it really cuts out the essentially the range damage, right click range damage, of a team fight. So as long as your whole team's kind of like grouped up enough in a way that most of the fight can happen within the arena, I think that's quite a good talent to get for sure. Spear of Mars impales up to 2 units. So this is his Agnum Shard. So leaves a fire trail behind it, which lasts for 10 seconds and does 35 DPS and a slow by 20%. Okay, cool. So just adding a little more nastiness to his spear, which actually looks quite cool. I mean, it's not going to be as strong as Macropyre, obviously, but have the same kind of effect where fights happening in that area are just going to be slightly more advantage towards Mars. Nice. And like even that, like you tend to use a spear in Arena of Blood, so being able to have like a restricted area that then also has a DPS and slow cooldown in it, or slow movement speed is good. So neat, neat. Bear with me. I'm just gonna take a little bit of a break here. I'm just gonna refill my coffee. I will be back in a few minutes. And pop. And pop. And we're back. Okay. So Mars. So we read through Mars. Yes, I did want to see what it looks like for our Marsy boy. Particularly his new eggs. Okay, level to max. Like I didn't have his eggs as a regular item to buy because I don't know. Having a really low cooldown on his eggs was cool, or on his bulwark. But yeah, let's see what this looks like. So we press W and whoa, okay, that's interesting. Oh, that's actually really cool. That's like a what is it? I'm gonna pronounce this. I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of this entirely, but phalanx. You know, the old Greek war formation. Let's. What does this actually look like? Oh yeah. Oh, that is cool. It should like push as well. It should push. You know how cool that would be if it actually like pushed? I mean, I guess you couple it with your bulwark, right? If you want to keep them. I mean, I mean, it's always 6-second cooldown. Well, the scepter cooldown is still lower as well. I think. Or did they just not change that? Yeah, it's 6 seconds. Ah, okay, so they need to fix this. This is just a bit of a tooltip text that they need to edit, but it still says that the scepter cooldown for this skill is 3.5, and that's not the case. So we did get the -4 God's Rebuke cooldown, so bringing it down from 10 to 6. So like that's pretty cool. What? Hold on. Wait, did you always have to aim it? What? Why do I have to aim that? Is it because this is on? What's going on here? Am I daft? Is this a new change that I just not aware of? I thought he would just press it. You press R and then you just rebuke, but nothing in the talents actually say it's redone. Am I crazy? In my brain, I'm running around on Mars. I press R and he does his reboot, but now you actually have to click. I mean, I guess it's nice that like you don't have to turn around and then press it. You're like aim it, but I don't like the range on it because if I press it out here, what if I double tap it? What is going on? Like I didn't even click there and it did it. Oh, it's because I moved up to there. I don't like that. I kind of just liked it when it was, because now I have to like stop in order to do it. Which... yeah. Alright, and his spear. Oh yeah. Flaming spear. I mean, that kind of self-explanatory. Cool. Overall, I like it. I mean, I'm sure, like, this is pretty cool. I like the idea of just, like, walking forward with, like, this. Just being a space of madness. And, like, the damage on it's decent. Like, if I'm rushing towards this guy, like, I've done 800 damage just by walking up to him. Let's see. Walking, bam, bam. 600 damage by the time you like walk through somebody. That's really good, right? The magic damage. I assume it's magic damage, same as Arena of Blood. Like 600 magic damage just for walking in this space. Throwing in like one of these to get an extra hit out of it. Like you're doing 1,000, 1,200 damage area. Really effective against illusions again. So, really neat. Really neat. I don't know. I don't feel like Mars has a whole lot of room to be able to, in his economy, to be able to get Agnum Scepter, but I could be wrong. Alright, Medusa. So, level 25 talent changed from 800 mana to plus 75 intelligence. Which I imagine maybe equals something similar to 800 mana. I don't know the exact math on it, but... I think there's a neutral item that increases your intelligence by a percentage. So I think maybe this change is kind of a bit of a hat tip to that, but otherwise I don't fully see the utility of it. I mean, I guess you get mana regen out of it as well. You probably get quite a bit of mana regen out of 75 intelligence, so it does not hurt. Magnum Shard ability grants cold-blooded passive. When you are targeted with a spell, a single target Mystic Snake is sent back towards the enemy. Not bad. I mean, it's more incentive to Medusa to be like more at the front, asking for things to be cast on her, because then there's more damage going out and can absorb a lot of that damage from that spell just by virtue of her shield and the fact that she's going to get mana back from that hero. I mean, I don't think it's a lot of mana drain, but I mean, it's something. Again, though, well, I mean, so that's 1400 though. So this isn't bad. Like, if this was an Agnum's and having to spend 4,000 gold for it, probably wouldn't be worth it. But 1400, 1400 is not bad. All right, Meepo. So this is a hero that I need to start playing. I've got 5 games with this hero. This patch, I'm really hoping that this hero will be easier to play. Which I know is like, why would you play Meepo if you want a hero that's easier to play? But I just love how this hero just breaks your brain. You just have to break your brain a few times in order to actually start being able to use this hero in the arena of Dota. Some people do it very well. I have yet to get to that level, or even remotely close to it. So Meepo's turn rate has been improved from 0.65 to 0.7. Okay. Level 15 talent increased from 30 poof to 35. Okay. Level 20 talent changed from 8% lifesteal to plus 8 ransack health steal. Going from percentage to plus 8, so all the meeples are getting healed by 8 every time one of the meeples hits. I'm just trying to think math-wise if that actually works out. I don't know. Like, to be honest, someone who's good at meepo needs to tell me what the significance of that change is, because to be honest, I can't wrap my brain around it too much. I mean, I get it. I get what it does. Instead of each meepo just getting themselves 8% lifesteal when they hit, now one hits and they're all getting health, but what that actually amounts to, if that's like balanced or unbalanced, or I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Level 25 talent changed from 4-second poof cooldown to +1 divided we stand, so he gets an extra clone at 25 instead of his scepter, or his scepter used to do that. Now his scepter grants a new skill called Dig, where clones also have this ability, channels for 0.75 seconds, and digs into the ground for 3.5 seconds, dispelling you and causing you to become invulnerable and untargetable. Yes! Okay, first item, scepter. For me, anyway, so, you know, that poor meeple that I'm impossibly trying to manipulate and to control. Now you can just, like, burrow him down and keep him safe. You still have to like alt-tab through all the meepos to try and figure out which meepo you can burrow, but hopefully that'll actually allow him to essentially survive a little longer. Agnum Shard, Ransack. So Ransack now has 30% chance on hit to apply a Geo Strike debuff, killing enemies by 20 and dealing 20% for 4 seconds. Okay, so it's giving him a proc on his attacks, which, I mean, on a Meepo is quite huge, isn't it? Because he's got 4 to 5 extra chances of those procs happening when hitting, so cool. I think that's a nice. What is this? Slowing enemies and dealing DPS. And they stack up, actually, which is quite insane because you're going to stack those pretty quickly. You poof 4 meepos around somebody and they all get hit once. They're all getting at 80% slow and 80 DPS a second for 4 seconds. Like, yeah, I think that's a huge damage buff. And I think Meepo kind of needed that in my sense of him. He would kind of fall off pretty hard in terms of his ability to do damage. At least from what I've seen, but I could be wrong about that too. Anyway, Morena. I've actually played Morena recently since the patch, and the Agnum's rework shocked me at first, and I'm like, it's kind of weird. But I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. It grew on me as I played it more, or as I got more into the game. Yeah, it grew on me. So before I get to that, let's not skip over. Level 10 talent increased from 12 damage to 15 plus 3 damage buff. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the scepter rework. So now instead of Mirana dropping a starfall from herself every few seconds, her sacred arrow releases a starfall of enemies that it comes within 500 AoEs. I found it a bit janky, to be honest. I wasn't sure if it was just the circumstance, but I found that some of the stars would. Well, maybe it's because the arrow was hitting a creep, and that creep was dying right away from the arrow, so the starfall was falling on a dead body. I don't know. Keep an eye on it because it looked a bit weird to me in terms of how many starfalls were coming out of this arrow. On the one hand, it's cool that you can get some DPS. Sometimes you're out of position. Or battles happening just like two screens away from you. The fact that you can throw an arrow in that's also going to throw in a starfall can actually be quite useful. It's quite a bit of damage that a single starfall can do, and it can mean the difference between a hero dying or not. So it's interesting. It's different. Isn't necessarily better than having Morena kind of constantly doing starfalls around her. It's certainly a little more inventive, I guess, but yeah. And so now her Agnum Shard ability. Yeah, so this I never ended up getting because it grants leap charge of 1, and that in itself is quite huge actually. But then attacks during the leap buff have a 1.5 critical strike. So like I didn't realize what this was when I was praying Mirana. And at that, I already decided to go kind of a magic damage build, which I like doing on Morena when we've got a lot of squishiness on the team, because Morena herself is a squishy hero. So if you go the magic build and getting Agnum Scepter, you tend to make yourself a little more tanky, throwing on like a scatty, where you're not so much relying on your right click. You're kind of more being a nuisance, kind of like a tanky magic dealing nuisance. Which obviously maybe isn't her best build, but it's a build that I found to have quite success with. So clearly this Agnum Shard really buffs her ability to be a right click hero. Because getting great critical attacks after jumping, like, and the fact that you have 4 charges, you can just keep that going. Makes her really strong. First thought was like, okay, do you go Mask of Madness? Probably not, because you don't want to limit yourself with where you can leap with the silence. So even though the extra attack speed would be really good for the critical strike, yeah, you're already getting an attack speed buff from leap itself, so no. But, getting a lot of attack speed on Morena will go a long way if you're planning on getting an Agnum Shard, which you should if you're going right click. right. Moving on. Monkey King. Base armor increased by 1. Mischief cooldown reduced from 20 to 15. Good, I like that. I like that they're... I don't know. I don't know if Valve intended on this Mischief. I mean, I don't know how much they intend or not intend, but the fact that Monkey King can dodge damage with his Mischief. Like, originally, he used to be able to dodge anything, like even a stun. But they nerfed that pretty quickly. But the fact there's this little sort of like skill move of dodging some damage, and the fact that you can do it now in 15 seconds rather than 20 is actually a nice buff. Level 20 talent increase from 320 primal spring damage to 350. Level 25 talent adjusted from 100 walks command armor to 200. Ooh. Yeah, I don't think there was ever... So I've gotten the 100 armor walk command armor before, and it's quite like situational. Like the other team needs to be quite mad or physical damage heavy in order to justify getting this, because having the extra large area effect for his ult was so strong. So it's the fact that they're buffing this doesn't surprise me because, well, I mean, is it going to make that much of a difference? By the time you're getting 100 armor and then getting 200 armor, I mean, essentially you're invincible to physical attacks, I think, is what that does. But I don't know. I still don't think it's going to be that much more incentive to take that over the extra area because it's so strong. The extra area you can very much just like, especially for taking high ground, like, or defending high ground, like it's such a strong buff to his ulti that even plus 100 extra armor, even doubling his level 25 talent is, I don't think it's going to have that much of an effect. I don't think people are going to still use it. So his Magnum Shard makes his tree dance cooldown from 1 to 0.35. Oh, nice. We can just jump around like mad. Jump, jump, jump. Cool. I like that. I mean, elements like this make a hero really fun to play in Dota. The new hero kind of feels the same way, where you're like, it's about mobility. Having some kind of mobility advantage over everyone else is just like, it's just fun. I feel like a race car. Yeah, I don't know. Cool. Is it worth it? It's probably one of those Agnum Shard that's maybe like going to be less common and a little hard to justify spending 1400, but who knows. Morphling. Level 25 talent changed from 3 multi-shot adaptive strike to plus 30 strength. Okay. More stats for him to kind of morph with. I'm guessing that we're going to see this somewhere else. So adaptive strike causes to have 1 multi-shot and removes the 3-second shard cooldown. I have contention about this. I mean, okay, so you can do both. But the thing about the two different skills is that they're based on how you are, essentially how you're morphed, you know. You tend to be one way or the other. You tend to have a lot of agi going, or you tend to have a lot of strength going at any one time. And you can morph quite quickly. But I mean, this is only reducing, 3-second cooldown. Usually it takes about 3 seconds to get that full shift from strength to agility and vice versa, so I think Morph still might need a bit of work. Like, there is a cool hero concept. I think they should go a little more in the direction of his ulti, being able to turn into another hero. I mean, personally, I'm a bit sad that, I mean, I know it was broken, but I'm a little bit sad that they made it so he doesn't have 2 separate health bars. Like, so when he switched back and forth between the heroes, he would have 2 different health bars. Now it's like you're sharing the same health bar, and I don't think it's for mana, but it's not as strong. It's like, oh, this was a really cool thing, and now it's not as cool. And I think the most thing they need to change on it is about the cooldowns. I don't know if it'll be broken, but what if you just made Morphling be able to just morph into anybody at any time, sharing the same health and mana that he always has, or that he has now, I think. But I don't think it would be too broken. It almost makes him like Rubik. And I mean, granted, like Rubik with an Agnums in the hands of a really good player is really strong. So I guess maybe they're trying to avoid that, but I don't know, for newbie Morphling players like me, like, well, I just want a little more fun playing around with taking over other heroes. And it seems like you don't get to do it. I mean, you get to do it. It lasts quite a bit of time, and certainly you can make use of it in fights, but we want more. We always want more. Okay, Naga Siren. Mirror images cooldown reduced from 45 to 30 down to 40 to 28. So a couple seconds for each level. Ensnare cast point reduced from 0.5 to 0.4. And level 20 talent changed from 9-second Ensnare cooldown to 30-second Song of the Siren cooldown. Cool. Good. They're buffing the ulti. The ulti needs to get used more. I think it's a very strong ulti that gets quite underutilized, mainly because it takes a lot of coordination, which usually you don't have in a random stack of pub game. So, but even so, there's that element of it. But even the ability to stop a team fight from happening when you know you're at the disadvantage. Especially when the other team's got ultis that you just don't want to fight in. Death Prophet ulti, Sven's ulti, Chaos Knight. Like, as soon as you see them activate this ulti, Naga Siren just sleeps. Have everyone walk away, reset, let that ulti burn out, the enemy team's ulti burn out, and then, start again. Like, it's such a strong game mechanic, I think, so. And also the ability to escape. The fact that she has that like really strong way of escaping. Like unless the enemy team is willing to burn a BKB, and reliably be able to stop Naga Siren from escaping, even if she's TPing, you can stop her TP, but then the rest of the team, like she can walk away as the rest of their team is asleep. So quite a strong escape spell as well. So Scepter Rework allows the Ensnare to target spell immune or sleeping units. Okay. That means you can net somebody while you're ulting. Reduces the Ensnare cooldown by 5 seconds and increases cast range by 400. Okay, that's quite a range buff on that net. I think it got nerfed at some point because it used to be really, really long. And I think they nerfed it. Down by 5 seconds. You can, to be honest, I don't play this hero again that much. But I think that minus 5 seconds cooldown makes it so she can net quite often. So her Agnum's Shard Riptide ability can activate Riptide and releasing stronger Riptide that deals 100 extra damage and slowing enemies by 30 for 3 seconds. Wow. Flies around each illusion can only be hit 1 instance and only a 15-second cooldown on it. So like this is, again, this used to be in her Riptide ability is where she would activate it. And then they changed it to be a chance passive. Which I think overall was a buff to her, but now the fact that she can have both, and the fact that it applies a 30% slow. So that means like, even if, like, so Naga Siren gets really strong, and so even if she just sends her illusions out against some poor, squishy support that's had a rough game, has very low level, very squishy, her illusions have the potential to just face down. And then when she activates this, the fact that the support then gets a 30% slow means those illusions can probably just tear her apart. I'm saying her because I'm always picturing Crystal Maiden as the poor, squishy support, but obviously that could be many other heroes. Cool, strong. I think that's quite strong. Question is, what's that hotkey going to be for me? What is that hotkey going to be? Nature's Prophet. Nature's Call Trent movement speed rescaled from 325 to 300, 320, 340, and 360. Okay, so slightly slower in the first initial stages, but they tend to get faster afterwards. Okay, interesting. Nature's Call Trent base damage reduced from 24, 28, 32, 36 to 22, 26, 30, 34. Slight debuff on those. Nature's Call Trent base attack time improved by 0.5 seconds. Okay. Slight tweaks. I think slight, modest tweaks to the Trent's debuffs overall. Sprout backswing reduced from 1.1 to 0.5. So that's going to come out even quicker. And in my mind, that was already so quick, so... I wonder if that's to address this sort of awkward, like... Maybe it's just me and I'm misclicking, but sometimes I feel like that you try to sprout, and what ends up happening is the person just ends up out on the outside of it. But I think that's a clicking issue more. I think pretty sure if you get a solid click on the hero, they're going to get sprouted within it. I mean, it's based on movement speed. Like if the enemy or the enemy that you're casting it on has enough movement speed, that bit of sprout swing back might make it so that's the reason why they're outside of it sometimes. I don't know. I'm just trying to justify my own mistakes, maybe. I only think of it because it happened recently in a Dire Tired game. Jerk teammate had to like ping 1,000 times because my sprout ended up making the drought outside of the sprout instead of inside it. Which, whatever. Whatever. Scepter rework. So lowers cooldown from 85 to 60. Nice. Entangles all enemy units and hits? What? For how long? Duration scales from 1.2 cells the first second. How long is this going to root for? Duration scales from 1.2 seconds up to 3 depending on the number of bounces. Right, so the later bounces are going to do up to a 3-second root global. Are you crazy? No, honestly, it's good. I think Nature's needs a buff. Because there are more bad Nature's players out there than there are good Nature's players. And I think that's probably like a good gauge of whether Valve should buff or nerf any hero. Is like the question of how many good players with this hero are there and how many bad players are there. And then it should be like, you know, roughly 50-50. So this will make Nature's just a little more utility at the cost of the Scepter, obviously, which is not something you would normally get. I mean, rarely have I built the Scepter on Nature's Prophet. I think the best game I've had with Nature's was when I built a Scepter and a Refresher Ore. But that was just a fluke one-off game. Now I think the Scepter makes it quite useful. Level 15 talent increased from 4 Trents to 5. So, and Trent increase summoned. Okay. Level 25 talent increased from 1.8 Trent HP to 2 times. What I like about these changes that they're making is they're not hugely drastic. I mean, the biggest changes that are happening within this patch are, I mean, save for a few heroes that are getting some significant changes, but mostly changes they're making to these heroes are just like quite minute, which is a good sign, which I think means Dota's like fitting into a good sort of groove, and now they're just like finding out the fine rough patches, where sometimes a patch comes out and it's like, I mean, the patch before could be completely kind of like stale or broken, and then they release something that's completely drastic. Now with this patch, like, yeah, these shards are adding a lot of sort of dynamic to it, but the game itself isn't seeming to be changing hugely amount. in terms of what we understand the heroes to do. Like I said, save for some heroes that are changing for sure. Necrophos. So, just an Agnum Shard ability. Grants Deathseeker, spawns a fast-moving, large death pulse towards the enemy target, not self, dealing 50% more damage and causing it to spread normal death pulse. So I played Necrophos since the patch. I got this. It was near the end of the game. We were already losing. So I was already a bit sad. So my impression of this maybe is a bit tainted by the fact that that was a losing game, but this seemed a bit underwhelming. It's a very slow-moving... What's this? Spawns a fast-moving large death pulse. It's not that fast. It's still quite a slow projectile. Okay, well that... I swear, it wasn't that fast when I was doing it. I mean, obviously it is that fast, but it didn't feel that fast. I mean, I guess it's okay. The cast range on it's nice. So like it's a heal that you can do on a frontline tank. That then will do damage and healing to your teammates all around it. So like it's not bad. Maybe I just had a bad experience with it. I will try it again. Night Stalker. Level 10 talent changed from Hunter of the Night, 7%. Movement speed increased to +4 armor. Level 15 talent changed from 20% lifesteal to 10% Hunter in the Night movement speed. Okay. Interesting they're taking the lifesteal off. Yeah, I don't know. Armor's nice on Night Stalker. He's a menace, so to make him a tanky menace. Sweet. Oh yeah, I quickly glanced over this before, but I like the concept. I like the lore type. How it fits the architecture of the hero very well. So his Agnum Shard ability. During nighttime, you can cast Hunter in the night. Consumes a lesser creature instantly, killing it and restoring 25% of your maximum HP and mana. Can only be cast on non-player units. 20-second cooldown. So good. So good. How often are you Night Stalker? You've just finished successfully ganking someone at night. But then your health's really low, your mana's really low, and you can't go on to gank someone else. You gotta wait for your clarities and your salve to come, or you need to go back to base. This just allows them to just be that much more of a menace. So I think it's quite compounding. Keep in mind that this is happening 20 minutes into the match, so by 20 minutes you probably tend to have some decent life regen and mana regen, so maybe I'm overestimating how useful this is going to be. But certainly in a team fight, I mean, it's just like that sudden, oh no, I'm out of mana, and I need a little bit of extra mana to cast my slow. Oh look, there's a creep I can just eat. And it's flat, right? It's not based on the creep's health or anything, so it's quite reliable in terms of how much health and mana you're getting out of it. But it is incentive to make sure that your maximum HP is quite high. Mana as well, but particularly the HP. So strengthen up that Night Stalker. Nyx Assassin. Base intelligence increased from 18 to 21. Meta damage increased from 250, 375, 500 to 300, 400, 450, 600. Light buff. Okay. Impale cast point reduced from 0.4 to 0.3. Thank you. I think that'll be 0.3 less times I embarrass myself trying to cast this stun and missing. Level 20 talent increased from 60% spike carapace damage to 75%. Okay, slight buff on that too. Agnum Shard ability causes your Vendetta attack to reduce magic resistance by 20% for 4 seconds. Also increases Vendetta movement speed by 40% and unlocking maximum speed. Okay. Um, I mean, obviously, this is good. Keeping in mind that this is happening at 20 minutes into the game. I mean, you can't sniff on this. I mean, I think getting a minus 20% magic resistance anywhere during the game is a positive thing. This might incentivize going um, the Dagon build, which we haven't seen for many, many years, I think, in the meta. But maybe this is going to kind of incentivize to building the Dagon on Nyx, which also then incentivizes his Agnum's build as well. So, like I've always, in my back of my mind, in my heart of hearts, I've always wanted Nyx Assassin to be more of a right-clicking agi hero. And I've certainly had a bit of success in earlier years, and certainly not lately, of making this hero be successful with that. But Nyx is this kind of like, there was that element to it, or you go this sort of magic. I think this kind of tips the scale of going the magic damage type. But I mean, mind you, getting this extra movement speed, being able to, like, unlocking max speed. To me, this tells me, okay, let's build ourselves a lot of movement speed items. So when we do go into Vendetta, we're not just getting this 40% movement buff. We're not being capped. Um, so let's go for Broke. Let's go for Yasha. So maybe there is still a bit of an argument here to be made for right-clicking Nyx. He's got a lot of utility. He has utility plus a right-click. Like, to me, he's just like such a strong hero. But right now he kind of sits in this middle in-between space of magic damage dealer, right-click dealer. Um, like certainly his strength lies in his utility, but always kind of sad to see just a poor little. It's almost like Bounty Hunter 4. It just feels wrong to me. And like a Nyx 4, it's obviously makes a little more sense than Bounty Hunter to me, but I just want to see this hero shine a little more in the position 3, maybe even position 2. Um, I don't think this necessarily will do it, but I'm always going to kind of be hopeful with that. Yeah, see, they even threw in the Dagon. Even in their demo for this shard, they threw in the Dagon. Because Lord knows the Dagon needs some love. Just so hard to justify. So we'll see if this patch actually does the Dagon some service. Of Dagon builders. Ogre Magi. Um, base damage reduced by 2. Ignite mana cost increase from 90 to 120. What? 90 to 100. Ignite first damage instinct. An instance now deals is now dealt immediately. Okay. Fire Blast mana cost reduced from 75, 85, 95, 105 to 70, 80, 90, 100. Just a 5 mana cost reduction across all levels. Unrefined Fire Blast mana cost reduced from 45% of current mana to 30. I mean, I've never really built the Agnums too often. I get it. It gives you an extra damage to use, or an extra stun to make use of, but I just don't have a lot of love for this hero in general. He's a lane dominator, but I just feel like he falls off so quickly, even as a support. Um, I mean, he's kind of like a frontline tanky hero, but not often played that way. It's sort of like Pudge. I think people need to make more use. Like a lot of utility of this hero, the fact is that they are tanky and then get in people's faces. Um, but so many times when people are playing the hero, that's just something that they're not doing, that they're not utilizing, which just you just notice this hero is just not doing that much. If they're not kind of facilitating that element of themselves, so yeah, yeah. Anyway, that was a bit of a rant. By the way, Midas, when you're getting a Midas on the ogre and it's 20 minutes, and I'm on your team, I'm shaking my head. I might not say anything, but I'm shaking my head. Anyway, Agnum Shard, Fire Shield. So Fire Shield creates a shield around the target ally or building, absorbing 75% of the damage from the next 3 attacks. Launches fireballs at the attacker, dealing 125 damage. Lasts 2.5 seconds, can be 25 seconds. Can be multicasted, range 600, cooldown 18. Good. Okay, so this is good. This is gonna be one of the shards that I think you always get because Ogre Magi needs something. He needs a little something more into the mid-late game. Having this shield that is going to do a huge amount of damage reduction. Keep in mind, like 3 hits, 75% damage reduction on 3 hits from level 25 PA is huge. Very huge. Even the fact that whoever you cast this on, when they're getting hit, assuming they're going to be getting hit, you're casting it on the right person, they're going to be getting hit those 3 times. That's 325 damage extra going out onto the field, which is not insignificant, especially with an only 18-second cooldown, and the fact that it's going to be multicasted on several of your units around you. That's good. That's good. I think this is going to be one of the more overpowered ones, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to say it's as good as a Omni ulti, but it's going to be in that realm. You know, Ogre Magi multicast this on like himself and 3 of his buddies in a team fight. Six attacks being absorbed by 75% or by 70%, like quite a huge damage reduction. So I think this one's going to be one of the must gets every game, but we'll see. Okay, Omni Knight. Omni Knight needs something because we have not seen much of Omni Knight lately. Heavenly Grace duration reduced from 12 to 10. Heavenly Grace. His W, right? Okay. Like I said, this guy needs a buff, man, because everyone forgot Omni Knight existed. I mean, so the last few patches have been really buffing magic damage into the late game. And so his ulti has just not been that needed or useful ever since they took Repelled off of him. I mean, Omni Knight used to be one of the most broken heroes as to have on your team because of his Repel. This is essentially like a skill that gives BKB to somebody. Huge. Absolutely huge. Like, think about it. Imagine a core that doesn't have to build a BKB. Think about when you're playing core and you're thinking to yourself, what item do I want next? Oh man, it'd be really great if I could build myself a Daedalus. Or, I mean, obviously Daedalus costs more than a BKB, but not that much more. If you're like, hey, I don't need to buy BKB because I got an Omni Knight that can just give me a BKB. And it was like, there was like, I think if I remember correctly, the cooldown and duration of it, there was only a 2-second window where this magic immunity didn't apply. Which to me is just like bizarre. Like, and that was for a long ass time. Like, Omni Knight had that for a very long time. The fact that that never got nerfed until only like 3 years ago. Anyway, hopefully he's back. So his Agnum Shard, Hammer of Purity, grants Hammer of Purity auto attack ability. Causes your next attack to deal bonus pure damage equal to 25 plus 150% of your base damage. You are healed for the amount that you're damaged. Cooldown is 6 seconds. Huh. And it has a mana cost to it. Auto attack ability, I assume it's the one you can kind of toggle on and off. So every 6 seconds. I mean, imagine it's sort of like an Earthshaker enchant, but obviously it's not doing as much damage as your Earthshaker. But keep in mind, this is pure damage, right? Pure damage equal to 25 plus 75 of your base damage on top of your regular damage. I mean, so I take that back. I mean, that's quite a nasty chunk of a hit. That's not going to be reduced by armor. And the amount that you hit for is going to heal you, which I think is going to be quite a significant heal. I mean, you can't really see it there, but I mean, he always needed something with his right click. I don't know if you remember back in the days of just like where Omni-Knight was viable, and you throw a Radiance on him. You're running around the map in 20 minutes with a Radiance on this hero, just crushing everybody with your big hammer. Yeah, I mean, I like this. I like this a lot because it incentivizes him to get a little more bit of right click, perhaps an Echo Saber. So he's got that mana regen. He's got that strength buff. And then he also, like Echo Saber does quite a bit of like DPS. The fact that he can just hit twice in an instant every 6 seconds is good. It also creates a small slow. And so like Pudge, Omni has this sort of relation in Pudge where they're the kind of hero that if they get up to you, they can be a nuisance. I know I don't feel like that way about Bristleback, even though he's got his goos that can kind of do the same thing, but something about just like Omni Knight and Pudge with his rot that just like it hurts people. It messes up team fights. It's really good for chasing down heroes. I don't know. I like this. I like this. Hopefully we'll be able to see more of Omni Knight. I mean, I'm not sure if this necessarily tilts him into the game, but I think people are going to be trying it more. I mean, a lot of the times what gets put into the meta isn't entirely based on what's good and what's not good. It just simply happens to be what everyone starts doing. I mean, someone makes something look good, then everyone wants to copy it, and then everyone just happens to be copying it. I mean, I think Omni Knight maybe has just suffered most because not necessarily that he's not useful. It's just people just kind of started to forget about him. He was just not useful enough in certain situations that he got kind of dropped off. Maybe now people will see this, be like, hey, I'm going to try to make something cool out of this. People start to see a few cool things, and then before you know it, everyone and their dog is going to be doing it. So, maybe. Right, Oracle. I like Oracle. Secretly one of my favorite heroes. He's got this cool complexity. He's got this complexity that is done quite simply by giving each of his skills two functions. And I think I kind of quickly. Well, let's just read. So Scepter Reaver causes Fate's Edict, his W, to no longer disarm allies or make enemies magic immune. Huh. So, like I said, each of his skills has kind of like two sides to it. And I don't know. I mean, so it's strong. It's a strong scepter. It kind of takes a bit of brain work out of the hero, where you really had to sort of like skillfully suss out, is this a good time to disarm my enemy but make a magic immune, or disarm my ally but make the magic immune? The fact that this Agnorms is now taking away the negative side of that choice, I mean, probably really opens up the hero. I mean, I know there's a talent that makes the cooldown on this really, really short, so I think it's strong. I think it's a very strong Agnoms. I'm a bit sad that it takes kind of the brain work out of the hero, but there's a high cost to it. So, we'll try. Level 20 talent change from False Promise Invisibility to 50% minus 50% Puring Flames Damage on allied heroes. Okay, so I'm Oracle. I buy myself a pipe. Make sure my teammates have a little more magic resistance. Like, so if you get Agnums, well, if you get Agnums, you want to make more use of your Fate's Edict. So then necessarily you don't want to be using it on the hero that you're wanting to heal. And so therefore making it so your Purify Flames don't do as much damage. So you can actually stack up that healing quite well. I can see it. I can see why. I think maybe a lot of thought was put into these changes. But again, like the development, it seems like you buff this hero by making them less complicated or less negative effects to the choices you're making. It's cool. It's cool. I think honestly, if without a doubt, I think this hero design is probably the best hero design in the game. Just in terms of like complexity and like usefulness and like, I was like, I'm always just when I think about Oracle's toolkit and his build, I'm just so impressed of like the design of this hero. Yeah. Causes false promise to have 0.3 second fade delay invisibility. So his ulti. So this is just adding invisibility to his ulti. Can't remember. So it was a talent. I think it was when he first came out. It was just originally on his ulti. And they nerfed it. But I'm trying to remember if it was like you put it on them, they were invisible, and then once they attacked, they became uninvisible, and you would never get the invisibility back. Or if it was like this fade delay again, because that's quite a short fade delay. Whoever's under it is going to go invisible. You're going to maybe hit once or twice, and then they'll go invisible again. So it gives false promise an interesting dynamic. I mean, turning your PA into a Ricky, assuming you've got the vision control, you can see that the enemy team doesn't have a gem or dust on them. This can be quite strong to turn one of your cores to have the benefit of Ricky's invisibility as well. Heroes that can purge off dust quite easily, again, could benefit from this quite easily. So, yeah. Okay, Outer World Devourer. Renamed from Outer World Devourer to Outer World Destroyer. How many times has this hero been renamed? OD. I mean, he's always been OD, but he used to be Obsidian Destroyer, wasn't he? Or Obsidian Devourer? I don't know. He's gone through some name changes. I'm not going to look it up, but I know he's gone through a few. In my brain, he's always kind of been Outer World Destroyer. I always had to, like, every time I see Outer World Devourer, I'm like, oh yeah, that's his name. I think this is going to kind of revert it back to what my brain is just ingrained to think his name is. Anyway. Agility reduced from 24 plus 2 to 22 plus 1.3. Nerfed. Minimum damage increased from 46 to 49. Okay, slight buff there. Astral Imprisonment cast range increased from 300, 350, 400, 450 to a straight 650. Ooh, quite the buff on that. And that's good because in the laning stages with this hero, you really feel that short cast range. I almost just like, I know there's other reasons, but like, tend to just like go hard on the astral imprisonment scaling because you just need that range. 300 is just not enough. So bumping it up to 650, doubling it, more than doubling it. That's a big buff on his laning stage and in his team fighting. Astral Imprisonment Scepter upgrade cast range bonus reduced from 300 to 150. Okay, so honestly, I would never get eggs on him. I never did. I don't play this hero that often, but I guess it gave you charges, didn't it? Oh, I don't remember, and I should look it up because I really feel like I should know it. And again, another hero I'm starting to play more, but not all the knowledge is on the tip of my brain. So Astral Imprisonment Scepter upgrade cast range bonus reduced. Duration reduced from 4 to... So these are all like how much the... No, never mind. Astral Imprisonment duration reduced from 4 quite significantly to 175, 1 to 1.5, 3.25, 4. So, okay. So you use this skill a lot in the laning stage to prevent your opponent from getting last hits. Because you knock them out for 4 seconds, gives you enough time to get like 2 denies. Um, I mean, you're scaling, I think you're still scaling this skill quite early, but you're not getting that 4 seconds right away. So, okay. I mean, it seems like they're buffing his early game a little bit, but then also nerfing it in some ways. Rebalancing, if you will. Astral Imprisonment no longer deals area damage. What? I'm kind of sad about that. I liked it when they added it because it made this hero just more. You had to pay attention a little more when this hero was doing stuff. So, Astral Imprisonment damage to a single target increased by 20. So from 100 to 175, 250, 350, 325 to 120, 90, 260, 330. Modest damage increase. Astral Imprisonment mana cost reduced down to 120, so quite a bit lower, especially in like when it's fully upgraded. It used to be 200 mana, now it's only 120. Astral Imprisonment now steals maximum mana from enemies, so interesting. Again, this is another hero like I don't know, a few heroes that Valve has been changing. They're just like waffling back and forth on their builds. And this is another waffle where they're kind of reverting it back to his Astral Imprisonment actually now doing a steal. It used to do intelligence, to steal intelligence. Now it's just stealing straight maximum mana. So the question is, can you... I mean, there's obviously some heroes you do this on that are just going to be huge. I mean, even, I'm sorry, I'm just jumping to Medusa in my brain, like taking away 20% of her maximum mana, 20% of her shield. Yeah, maybe it's not that good. Maybe it's not bad, but 20%? Yeah, I mean, that's 200. Like, say Medusa has 1,000 mana, she's gonna have more than 1,000 mana by late game. But say she has 1,000 mana, you take away 200 of that? That's like, that's about 200 health? 300 health? Pretty good. It's pretty good. And it does it for quite a while, actually. Check this out. So for 30, scaling up to 60 seconds. So you can actually steal quite a bit of mana from somebody. 60 seconds, and you got this on cooldown every... what? I don't know what the cooldown is on this. I'm just gonna check it real quick. I'm just curious. Just curious. How much mana can you actually drain away from somebody? If you're just enough of a nuisance to follow them around and do this. Astral Imprisonment can be done every 12 seconds, so... I mean, you can easily do this 4 times comfortably on a hero. 20% of their mana. Okay, that's quite significant. I mean, that's quite huge. Um... Hmm. Interesting. I mean, team fight's not going to last 60 seconds. But, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, how often through various team fights or ganks or whatever, are you ever in astral imprisoning the same hero more than twice? Extremely rarely. Question is if your ulti is going to actually... I think Agnums puts people into this astral imprisonment, so I wonder if that is still the case. I don't think it is. Anyway. Arcane Orb mana cost changed from 80, 120, 160, 200 to 20% of current mana. Wow. Wow, that's a lot. That hurts. I mean, I'm always the sad unlucky person who doesn't get a single proc. I mean, it's 50%. Essence Flux at its highest level is 50%. So if you don't get a proc of Essence in 5 hits, you're a very sad unlucky person. But I wonder, I feel like this is gonna make it much more difficult to keep your hero or your mana pool up. Let's take a look. Oh, I don't want free spells. Get myself some more attack speed. I'm just curious, like, how often. I mean, I guess the fact that it's percentage means I'm always going to be able to get it off. No, actually, no. So sorry, I've just wrapped my brain around this. So the chances of you actually... I mean, you're never going to run out of mana. Period. As long as you have targets to hit, you just keep this always on. And you're always going to have mana. Like, even if I Astral Imprisonment, use my ulti, well, that just helped me, but... Like, you see what I mean? You're never gonna... if you're always taking a percentage off, you always have some mana to take to be able to cast this in order to restore some of your mana. Which I think makes, like, it kind of dummies this hero a little bit. I mean, it's punishing, right? You're in a team fight and all of a sudden you've had bad luck, didn't get much Essence Fluxes, suddenly you're out of mana and you're like, damn it. I mean, it rarely happens. You tend to be able to scale well enough that... Oh, what is going on here? Oh, it looks a bit weird. I got 1,071 of something. Who knows? Oh, it's because I took his mana? Yeah, I took a percentage of his mana, so now I got a ridiculous amount. Yeah, it gave me 1,000 mana from this guy. Anyway. So, okay, I like that change. I actually like that change a lot. Because it just makes him feel a little more safer in terms of his mana. Nothing worse when you're OD, just jungling in the farm, or jungling in the jungle. Hopefully you're jungling in the jungle. If you're jungling somewhere else other than jungle, you're doing something wrong. But you want that extra damage, so you can quickly clear jungle camps, but wham, your luck was bad. All of a sudden you have no mana. Everyone's looking at you. You know everyone's looking at you in the jungle. And they're like, look at this loser OD who now has to go back to base or buy himself a clarity because, well, honestly, his luck was just bad. So the fact that this is percentage based now, I mean, I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, it's hard to say what that's going to do DPS-wise, because assuming this is still hitting by current mana pool, yeah. I mean, 15% is quite a bit. It doesn't scale, so... I mean, this is something I haven't read yet, but we'll get into it right now. Astral Imprisonment steals maximum mana. No, further down. Arcane Orb. Cooldown increased from 0 to 6420. So the reason why you want to scale this up is so you can always use it. Man, maybe you level this up first, laning stage? Just so you can always use it. But then again, if your flux isn't leveled enough, you're going to get punished. You're going to find yourself out of mana. Maybe. Like maybe you just have you don't have just enough mana to cast Imprisonment when you need it at that moment. So you have to hit a creep maybe 2 or 3 times to hope that you get enough mana to then cast it. I don't know, this hero's always been kind of a bit complicated in a weird way, and I think they are still that, which maybe is the flavor of this hero, but anyway, Arcane Orb damage increased significantly, so now you're getting the full damage. I mean, obviously the damage is going to be based on how big your mana pool is, which is going to scale into the game based on the items and the stats that you got. But the fact that you get that 14% right off the bat is incentive to get this at least level 1. I mean, nothing like... I think it's going to be a really good last hitter, now that I think about it. Let me check this out. Like, how much can I just reset? Reset. So you pick one hero, demo. Just kidding, I wanted OD. Founder. So level 1. I get this level 1. How much is this Arcane Orb doing? Wow. So every 6 seconds I'm getting I mean, when my mana's full, obviously. But 90 damage, like he's gonna be a sick last hitter. I think he's gonna feel like a Shadow Fiend in lane now. Like, give me one more level. Give me Essence Flux. And I'll like hopefully 70 for this one. I mean, you have to wait 6 seconds, which obviously is a significant amount of time. You're gonna be doing some low hit, last hitting in the meantime. And obviously you can't use that on to deny. But I mean, that's quite good. Quite good. I think this is you're gonna start to level this as well. And keep in mind, now your cast range on this skill is always gonna be good at level 1. Oh shoot. But I mean, you're always gonna have this cast range on this at level 1, which I think was a main, or not a main, but it's certainly a big reason of why you wanted to get Rastal Imprisonment leveled up quickly. You can actually make use of it at a range. So, good buffs. I think really good buffs to this hero, especially for their laning stage. And I mean, if you get through the laning stage of that hero well off, like you can do some really nasty scaling and nasty snowballing with Waterworld Devourer. Destroyer? Devourer? Destroyer. You change something too many times, the result of it is just you've confused everybody. And now some people are going to be calling them Devourer, some people Destroyer. Some people are going to be calling them Windrunner, you know. It'll happen. Okay, this is going to be the last hero that I do. We've done an hour and a half. I think I'm going to end this part here at O. And I think we'll be able to get the rest of them done in their next session. My god, there's so many S heroes, aren't there? And T heroes. I mean, it's gotta get done. It's gotta get done eventually. But I think here's a good place for me to stop. I'm gonna finish OD, and then we'll take a break. You need a break. You've taken a lot of information in right now. You're doing your homework. You love this game. You want to be smart with this game. You don't want to be the fool that'd be like, I'm playing this hero, but I forgot what my Agnums does. You don't want to be that guy. Good on you. Good on you for watching. Good on you for going through with me these patch notes. So we're the big brains. We've done our homework. So Essence Flux no longer has an active component. That's kind of sad because it was quite good. The ability for you to get that much bonus of a mana regen plus the slow. The slow is the big one. The area slow that you would get out of it. So maybe it's quite a bit of a nerf to this hero that they're not going to have as much impact in an area. And they're not going to be able to chase down heroes as well. Sanity Eclipse no longer provides his other abilities with a mana capacity charge counter. Right. So that's not a thing anymore. Sanity Eclipse damage based increased from 150, 250, 350 up to 200, 375, 350. Slightly more early stages, levels. Sanity's Eclipse cooldown reduced from 160 to 160, 140. So they're taking the cooldown down on that one, which is good because it was a bit long. Essence Flux becomes a 1.5 second channeling ability. What? Swaps your current life and mana totals. Only transfers 75% of the respective values. Cooldown is 45. Not huge, but not like you can do it several times during a battle. But wow. Really? You're just gonna give that out? At 1400 gold? You're gonna allow me to swap my mana and my health? I mean, it's channeling. Oop, is that Agnums? No, it's the Flux. Sorry, so it's making this. Careful, don't accidentally press that when you're low mana and high health. Huh. Hey guys, we're going. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hold on. So one thing I want to clear up in my mind. What is this damage based on now? Unleashes a Psychoblast, dealing enemies a difference between your mana and the target's mana. Oh. Okay, so it used to be intelligence, right? Then it became charges, and now it's mana. Almost like, so this has become an AoE of, I mean, this is just anti-mage's ulti. Is this not just anti-mage's ulti? I mean, does this mean that anti-mage and outer world destroyer now pair very well together because they're both damages is based on mana you can steal? And so, oh my god. Like, keep in mind, like, they all get hurt a lot because, I mean, I've got that much more mana. Like, you stack up mana on this hero. Like, so I like it. So this takes the brain work out of, like, I'm starting to learn this hero. I'm like, okay, I need to hit a lot of arcane orbs and maybe 2 or 3 astral imprisonments before I'm going to use my ulti. Now, I mean, I happen to show up to a team fight late. Never happens. Never happens. But you happen to show up to a team fight late. The enemy team's already used all their mana. You just waltz in and just lay this out. You know, imprison the one hero that's going to be most annoying, and then clear the rest out with your right click. I think this hero got a huge buff, to be honest. Oh, and by the way, if I happen to have taken a lot of damage during my fight, you know, owie, owie, ow, 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 I'm like, hey, that's not nice. Don't do that. Honestly, the mana wasn't that much when you looked at it. Like, so you have to be careful with that. Make sure your mana's really high. Your health might be really low. I mean, my health's not going to go low here. But I mean, as long as my mana's topped up. That essence shift. It's slight, maybe. It's not that strong. It's not that strong. I think it's a nice buff. Just a slight heal the hero gets every 45 seconds, but I don't think it's really that amazing. Like, I have a lot of mana. I mean, maybe I'll have more after you've stolen a bunch, but oops, I don't want to do that. It's interesting. It's certainly interesting. Get away from me. Yeah. I mean, so like I said, I think this hero's become a little easier to use. I think overall they got in a buff, but I think they needed it. I think this hero is going to become much more in the meta now. And it's going to have some more interesting interactions with the fact that this is mana based now. I think the synergies with heroes versus and allied with will be interesting to see. All right, well, thanks for watching the fourth part of our patch notes review. Hopefully we'll be able to finish this off soon with one more part, maybe two. But yeah, take it easy. See you soon.